The next parent function that we have coming up is a cubic function. Y is equal to x cubed. What do you think the general shape of this graph looks like? This function is an increasing function. It looks like this. Now, what is the domain and range of the function? So the lowest x value is negative infinity. It can keep moving towards the left. And the highest x value is infinity. So the domain includes all real numbers. X can be anything. Now, analyzing the range, we can see that the lowest y value is in negative infinity, and the highest is infinity. So the range also varies from negative infinity to infinity, which is true of any cubic polynomial function. Next up, we have the square root of x. So this function increases at a decreasing rate. It looks like this. So based on the shape, what do you think the domain of this function is going to be? What is the lowest x value that you see? The lowest x value is 0, and the highest is infinity. So the domain is from 0 to infinity. Now, it includes 0, because if you plug in 0, the square root of 0 is 0. Looking at the range, the lowest y value is 0, the highest is infinity. So the range is also from 0 to infinity. Now, it can vary as well based on the transformations of this graph, but for this particular parent function, that's the domain and range. Now, what about the cube root of x? What is the shape of this function? The cube root of x looks like the square root of x, but it's on both sides. It's symmetric about the origin. So it looks like this. Let me see if I can draw that better. The domain is from negative infinity to infinity. You can plug in any x value into the function. For the square root of x, you can't plug in a negative value. The square root of negative 4 is not a real number. The cube root of negative 8 is equal to negative 2. That's a real number. Now the range, the lowest y value is negative infinity, and the highest is infinity. So y can be anything as well. Now, what is the shape of the absolute value of x function? What's the parent function? This function is basically a graph that forms a V shape, and it opens upward. X can vary from negative infinity to infinity. You can plug in anything and replace it with x, or replace x with that number. So therefore, the domain of the absolute value function is all our numbers. Now, what about the range? Notice that the range is restricted. The lowest y value for this particular function is 0. The highest is infinity. So the range is from 0 to infinity. We're going to go over some more examples with transformations later.